Welcome to the Requirements Overview series. This video series is designed to provide a high-level understanding of requirements, highlighting their importance and how they are used in support of the California State Payroll System Project, also known as the CSPS project. This video will provide a definition of requirements, emphasize their importance, and review the various types of requirements used throughout the project. Let's take a closer look. What is a requirement? A requirement refers to the criteria that define what a project must accomplish. In relation to the CSPS project, you can think of requirements as what our future system needs to do to comply with the state's needs. A significant amount of diverse payroll and HR processes are used by the state's workforce. Our future HR and payroll system will need to meet the unique needs of each department and agency. Now that we've identified what requirements are, let's identify why they're needed. Well-defined requirements are necessary for a successful system implementation. Requirements provide a translation between the state's business needs and the technology's capabilities. The solution integrator, or SI, is the vendor providing and implementing the system. The SI utilizes requirements to ensure the system they provide is viable to the state. Requirements allow the project team to validate that the system will do what is needed to meet the state's laws, policies, and processes to ensure we have a system that meets our needs. What happens if we don't have requirements or have inaccurate requirements? This could result in the new system not meeting the needs of the state and its employees. If employees are unable to use the new system, then it would not be useful to the state. Inaccurate requirements could result in a significant cost to the state in terms of time, budget, and effort. Now let's talk about the different types of requirements. Two types of requirements to consider include functional and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements describe what a system must do to accomplish its business purpose. An example of a functional requirement is, the system shall allow an authorized user to add or modify probation period information for an employee. Non-functional requirements describe environmental conditions under which the system must remain effective or qualities that the systems must have. An example of a non-functional requirement is, the system shall collect data needed to comply with Americans with Disability Act. In comparison, functional requirements refer to what the system is supposed to do, while non-functional requirements are the criteria that define how the system should behave. Next, let's review how the CSPS project organizes requirements by level. The project uses mid-level and detailed-level requirements to capture and define project needs. Mid-level requirements generally define what a system should do to meet a business objective. For example, the system shall provide functionality to manage employee, state, and federal tax data. Each mid-level requirement is accompanied and further defined by detailed requirements. Detailed requirements provide more specific points that break down the mid-level requirements into finer details that defines exactly how the system should function to achieve the business objective. For example, the solution shall calculate employee tax withholding amounts in compliance with state and federal laws. In summary, mid-level requirements are more general, while detailed requirements are highly specific. The term requirement can sometimes be mistaken for a business rule or a configuration table. Let's take a moment to define and compare these terms. Business rules are statements that define or constrain some aspect of the business, assert business structure, and control or influence the behavior of the business. A business rule is a specific, actionable, testable directive that is under the control of the business and supports a business policy. An example of a business rule includes, if the temporary work schedule date has ended, then the work schedule will revert to the employee's prior work schedule. Configurations are statements that tell the system when to do something, or tables that provide the criteria and conditions for the system to help make a decision to meet the business need. An example of a configuration includes, The system shall allow authorized users to configure attributes needed to determine state disability insurance. In relation to the CSPS project, you can think of requirements in terms of what the solution integrator needs to do to comply with the state's needs, whereas the business rules are the parameters by which the system must abide. Alternatively, configurations are settings and parameters that determine how a system behaves and operates. In this video, we've identified what requirements are and why accurate requirements are important. We've defined types of requirements, and we've also identified the difference between requirements, business rules, and configurations. You have now completed the first video in our three-part series. Please visit the CSPS Project YouTube channel and the CSPS Project webpage linked in the video description for more information. Thank you for watching.